Welcome everyone to another SpotOn chat. My name is Rebecca Monet. I'm with Zorakle Profiles. We provide profiling tools to franchisors and franchise consultants that help facilitate a right fit between a franchisee and a franchise system. With me today, and I'm so excited, is Shannon Wilburn, and she is the CEO and co-founder of Just Between Friends. So Shannon, can you tell us a little bit about your very interesting concept?
Yes. First, I love your glasses.
Thank you. I love them too.
They're so cute. So Just Between Friends is basically a marketplace for families to buy and sell gently used children's and maternity clothes, toys, and baby equipment. So think about a fairgrounds full of children's and maternity items, all that's gently used. And so we have 160 locations in 32 states, and continuing to grow and trying to meet the needs, the great need in all the communities for families to buy and sell and save money on gently used children's and maternity items.
I love your concept. I'm like the ultimate recycler, thrifter, consignment shop person. Goes back way beyond, back to my time in Switzerland when my family was so poor, that was our only choice. And now it's a cool and hip thing to do.
I have my own story as well. So
do you?
That's another time.
I can't wait to hear it.
Time.
So there's a question I've always wanted to ask you, Shannon, and that has to do with sacrifice. No doubt sacrificing for the good of others or sacrificing for the good of the whole is an important part of being a leader, as CEO and co-founder. But for you, you seem to embrace it not just as a leader of Just Between Friends, but this is a personal thing. You know how to sacrifice. Could you talk a little bit about the importance of, a bigger mission, a greater sacrifice, doing for others, and how that plays in your life?
Yeah, sure. And first, I want to start off by saying that I don't know that I've ever used the word sacrifice to define myself. I feel like I can be pretty selfish at times. So this is not, I feel like maybe that you're choosing that word, and it's part of who I am. And not to put myself on a pedestal or anything like that. I'm a Christian, first off, and just the way that I was brought up, my dad was disabled when I was 12 years old. I have a twin sister, and he was disabled. And so I don't know, Rebecca, if that growing up in a household where your dad was a CFO and then he went on disability insurance, if that made a difference in kind of the way I look at things. But I don't necessarily feel like I'm sacrificial and don't want to be painted the martyr, but I do, I do look at the greater good a lot. And it's just ingrained in me. And I'm also married to a pastor. It's kind of our culture of this is a servant attitude. And what can I do for you instead of what can you do for me? That's kind of the mentality. It helps my heart.
Yeah.
It helps me approach my day with to have a good start instead of a me mentality. It's a you mentality. Not always, but that's what I strive for, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I do think that our childhood has an influence on who we become. And in this case, you just see it as serving, or you just see it as part of who you are. Me as an observer, I observe it as someone who's sacrificing, who's giving, above and beyond. But you see it as a servant's heart, or just part of your day-to-day way of operating, whether as a leader, as a wife, as a mother, all of those things. It's just kind of a natural part of you.
We're not going to ask my husband about being sacrificial, right? So this is between you and me.
He's entitled to his opinion, but we're not going to put it on the air, okay?
No, he's wonderful.
Oh my goodness. Well, this idea of a servant's heart, since you were in an environment that kind of encouraged it, with your father being disabled and you having to step up and your sister having to step up to help. But are there any things that we can do to think more like that, to think more about the big picture and what's good for all, or coming from a servant's heart? Like you said, for you, it actually is emotionally gratifying. It's fulfilling to do that. But not everybody thinks that way. Not everybody is, altruistic. In fact, I don't think any of us are, but.
Yeah. Our brand tends to be, so when we started the company, my co-founder, Devin, and myself, we didn't set out to start a brand. We didn't set out to franchise. In fact, I didn't even know what franchising was, but we had a need in our own life. And that was to clothe our children affordably. So my youth pastor at the time, and that's not a vow of poverty, but close to it. And my co-founder, her husband was working, and they had tried to make a commitment where she could be a stay-at-home mom. And so both of us were trying to find a way to stay home and make ends meet. And the fact that we could put together an event in my living room back in 1997, so 23 years ago, where we could help other people make money and save money, and we might make some money doing this. I don't feel like it was altruistic, because there was a portion of it where we would win as well. But that's what I really like about our particular concept, is that it does help so many people. So as a franchisor, we make a revenue off every event. As a franchisee, the franchisee makes a little bit of revenue off of the event. As a consignor, the consignor makes a little bit of revenue off the event. And as a shopper, the shopper saves a little bit. And then we have this other portion of the concept where every franchise partners with a local charity. And so unsold items get, if the consignor wants, those unsold items then go to a charity. So that little sliver of money, it gets split multiple ways.
Yeah.
And I think therefore everyone walks away feeling like they won. Well,
of course,
feel good about that, So in fact, when we sell franchises, I tell our applicants it's a feel-good business. And I also tell them, you're not going to get rich doing this business. This is going to be something that you're going to have the needs of your community before your own needs. And you're going to have to think about your community, and you're going to have an event when you don't want to. And you're going to have to work really hard when you don't want to. And so I think maybe because our brand is not the brand out there where people are becoming millionaires, it attracts a different type of person. Yeah. And maybe also it's because I've surrounded myself with like-minded people, that my staff, my executive team, my advisory board, all of us kind of have this want and need to think about others. And not that we're not thinking about ourselves, because we do think about ourselves and our course and what our budget looks like and how we can serve more people. And oh my gosh, we're doing this big technology initiative, and how is this it's going to cost a lot of money, but how is this going to help our customer? And so I don't know. I don't know how to tell people to be more altruistic. I think it just comes with practice.
I think so too.
It becomes part of who you are. And I think also the Lord gives you more opportunities to be altruistic and give back when you show him that
you're willing to do it.
Yeah, when he can trust you with a little, he can give you a lot more. And so,
it's so true. It reminds me of a story. Years ago, I was teaching at a naturopathic medical school, and there was a student that needed extra help, and she was one of those people that was very difficult to like. She was
I call those people EGR, extra grace required.
There you go. She was an EGR plus. She, and she was struggling with some personal things, and she kept reaching out to me, and I kept giving and I kept giving and I kept doing and I kept being there for her. And one day I'm driving to her home thinking she's an EGR. She's
Yes.
very difficult, very hard to love, very, anyway, suffice it to say, I had this overwhelming feeling of love for her.
Wow.
And I thought, that's God.
Yeah.
That's God. And it grew because of the giving, because of the sacrifice, because of the grace that I gave her again and again and again. And I'm like, holy moly, it was just an overwhelming feeling to feel that kind of love for someone that, in my opinion, didn't deserve it. I know that sounds terrible,
No.
but it was like a reward that I got out of it, out of making that sacrifice. So like you said, I think it really is just practice, and it's doing it, knowing that we are going to get some kind of reward from it. It may just be personal satisfaction. It may be joy. It may be to see someone else make money, like in the Just Between Friends, and be able to feed their family or whatever it is. But if we are obedient and we do what we need to do in a servant attitude, we get rewarded one way or another. We get rewarded.
Story, it's like the Holy Spirit gave you the extra grace that you needed to give to her in the moment, and you didn't know if you were going to have that. And I think this servant-hearted attitude sometimes can get I don't know, confused with weakness. And I don't know, I feel like being a servant, you have to have more oomph and more to be able to and not be a doormat. Because I think those things are very, very different. But anyway,
I agree.
I love your story.
I love yours. So Shannon, I so appreciate you opening your heart and sharing about the servant leadership and about sacrifice, even though it doesn't look like sacrifice to you. I see it as that, the world sees it as that. So I so appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to our next Spot On chat.
Thank you, Rebecca.